Hello, it's Monday night, and I'm streaming again. Do apologise for missing last week. But I'm here now. And we're going to be back to Kashyyyk. Krogan, hello, welcome. I hope you can hear me. Let's check OBS. Yeah, it looks like it's picking up my mic. That's good. I hope everyone had a good weekend. My day was okay. How was your day? So it's fairly uneventful. So I guess it remains to be seen whether that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just having a look at what needs to be done for this scene. I've got a rough idea, but just in case I've missed anything. I'm glad you had a good day. It's always good to hear that. So I'm going to wait 10 minutes or so before I get really started into this. Just to give people a chance to come and join us here. It's been a little while since I streamed. I missed last week, which I do apologise for. I just had a bit of a long day and was really tired and kind of just didn't really feel like I had the energy to stream and be entertaining. But doing a bit better this week, so here we are. So I'm really pleased with how this village has turned out, but there's still some detail that I feel like needs to be added and things adjusted just a little bit to make it look even better. And more alive, because obviously this is a place that people live and it's fairly static at the moment. I have heard about the Rogue Squadron movie. I heard it was delayed, and I've heard that there's very different reasons for why that delay is. I don't think we'll actually find out what's true or not. I tend not to believe internet rumours that much, because basically people make a lot of stuff up, and no matter how much you may or may not want to believe it, it doesn't necessarily mean that's true. So we know for certain that it's been delayed. Why? I'm not going to worry too much about the why. We may or may not get it. I'm going to assume we probably won't get it, because other Star Wars projects have been delayed, and then you never hear about them again. So I suspect that's probably what's going to happen with Rogue Squadron, which is a shame, because I was looking forward to being a Rogue Squadron movie. But never mind. Revok, yeah, you're right. When your body says that you need to sleep, it's wise to listen to it, because it's telling you it really needs it. Now, right now I'm okay, so I'm happy to stream for a little while. But yeah, last week I needed an early night, and I think it should be good. Peter, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I'm glad you're enjoying the series, and I'm looking forward to being able to share the second half of the book. So this is chapter 17 that I've been working on. It is actually almost finished. Like this particular scene, it's all animated. There's a few things I want to tidy up still, but I was watching through an earlier version of the render, and the things in the background were standing out as not looking as detailed as they should. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, is just adding a bit more depth to it and making the village seem more alive. Now, I don't want to give too much away about... obviously, if you read the book, you know what's going to happen here. But I don't want to show you guys that yet. I want you to see it when it's finished. So I have muted all of the dialogue, so you won't be hearing any of that. And I'm not going to show the characters and what they do. Again, you'll have to wait and see when it's finished, which isn't that far off. Floopy, hello, welcome. And Franz, also welcome. Give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get started. It's nice to see people here. Where we're... I'm using one of the new Ryzen processors. I don't remember the name of it offhand. And a RTX 3070. Flippy, yeah. It's only the beginning of the Kashyyyk adventures, but yeah, it does have a big impact on the story. So I'm looking forward to doing it. And the village was actually really fun to make because it's so different from anything I've ever had to model or create before. So yeah, it's fun to do. I had it in my mind what it's going to look like, and I'm going closer to what Kashyyyk looked like in my imagination and the way it's described in the book, and some of the other expanded universe visual sources like Knights of the Old Republic and so on, rather than what we saw in Revenge of the Sith. Because in the book it's described as being a village quite high up in the trees, you can't see the ground, and of course in the film it's by the beach on the lake, so the trees are lower. Did you see the Disney Plus Day stuff? What Disney Plus Day stuff? They didn't really show much of anything. There was no trailer. There's a behind the scenes video which I believe they revealed to people who were part of the D23 club, I believe, last year. So that's an old trailer that reveals nothing except some concept art and Ian McGregor saying how great it's going to be to be back as Obi-Wan. But yeah, that's from a year ago before they filmed anything, so they had nothing to show. But there was no actual trailer. There were some fake fan-made ones that were being shared around, but then there's no real one. I'm not surprised they didn't actually show a trailer, because what I've noticed with Disney Plus is they tend not to show trailers for their new shows until a few weeks before the show actually begins. Like we had the Boba Fett trailer, was it about 2 weeks ago, and it's 6 weeks from being released. So obviously, I think the Kenobi show is going to be the next show after the Book of Boba Fett, but that's still next year, sort of late winter, so it's still a long way off. So they're not going to show a trailer for it yet, I don't think. And the other shows after that, even further away. Let's see, who else we got here? Friends, I'm glad you're enjoying the third book. Much faster reading through the series than waiting for me to finish it. Let's see. It's been a long time since I read the third book, though of course I'll get to it when we get to that part of the series. I have Thrawn, welcome, it's good to see you here. Chusa Bakura, it's a good concept, but not well written. I have been playing around with Omniverse, so there's actually going to be there's one shot I've rendered for chapter 17 that I've used Omniverse for, and I've been playing around with the second one, but I haven't decided if I'm going to use that or the iClone render for it yet. So I'm still learning how to use Omniverse. I don't have the export licenses for any of the content, which will make it very difficult for me to do any character rendering. But I've got some ideas about that as well. So keep an eye on the channel. Tomorrow is my anniversary for my first live stream. If it is, I've completely forgotten to do anything to celebrate that. Which is not a good thing. Never mind. On the reverse, yeah. And 2 days away from Life Day, yes. I should do something about that too. I don't know. I think it's a bit late for me to plan any kind of anniversary event. But I'd like to thank everyone who's been watching with me for the last year, doing this behind the scenes videos, playing games, commentary. It's a nice little tradition to have every Monday evening. So thank you all for keeping me going. I probably wouldn't have carried on if no one watched, because there's not much point in it if no one's here. But yeah, thank you. Alright, so Marvel New House. See, most of the characters I haven't read any of the Marvel comics, so most of my knowledge of Marvel comes from the MCU. So the shows that are they released the trailer, the logos for, I have no idea who the characters are. I have seen June, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm really glad they've got part 2. Okay, so I'm going to get started. And one of the things that really stuck out in my mind first of all was the way the roof of this house goes straight into the tree in a way that's not realistic. Now I was going to put some I mean, it shows up in the shot quite clearly when the camera's kind of looking up that direction, and I was going to put some leaves or something around there to hide it, but then when I loaded up the scene there's this house above, so all I'm doing, because this house was way up here, it doesn't actually appear in any of the shots, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to lower it down to about there, and it creates a nice little rim around the edge. Let me reposition it a little bit better. There we go. So now when the camera looks up, it won't look terrible. But over here, there's a similar problem. And this one I can't do the cheat option because there's no other house on the tree. I suppose I could always move one. Well, Geek Squadron, that certainly is going to keep me awake tonight, in a good way. So thank you. You're very kind and generous every time I stream, so I do appreciate that. Thank you. As always, it will go towards helping make the show. And I think I see the problem here. Is this... So this house is here, but there's no tree propping it up, and I don't know why. I don't know where the tree's gone. So it's so far behind that it doesn't really show up anywhere. Well, it shows up there, but that's not that. Doesn't matter that much. What would it look like if I get rid of it? Okay, it is noticeable if I take that away. Right, okay, so we've got a missing tree, which is not something I thought I would find myself saying. So we're going to put a tree back in, and we want another house propped up here. I'm glad you like a look at the village. So I'm generally happy with it, but I feel like it still needs just a little bit more detail and work. So that's what I'm going to do today, just to finish it off, so that I can render the scene and be happy with the way it looks. So I need a tree that's got nothing attached to it, which is one of these, but I don't know where it is. Okay, it's over there. That's fine. Just going to copy that tree and bring it over to the house. Gavin, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Almost got it. There we go. So the tree's back where it should be. I have no idea why it wasn't there. Alright, so I'm going to copy this house here and just bring it over here. And move up a little bit. And place it there. Turn it around so you can't see the door. And that looks pretty good. This is the most complex setting so far. It's definitely a complex scene. Let me think. The marketplace on Bimasari was fairly complicated because I had to make it look crowded without straining my system so much, or the software so much, that I wasn't able to render or do anything with the scene. But yeah, this is definitely a tricky one because of so the stuff you see in the foreground here, like the platforms and the houses, that's all fine. But because it's the forest and we know it goes on and on forever, it needs to look like that. So you have all these trees in the background, which make it harder to work on. And of course, I had to model these houses myself. 3D modeling is not necessarily my strongest area. I think I made a passable effort here. I didn't think I'd find anything like what I needed online, so I had to do it myself. But I'm pleased with the results, and from what you guys are saying here in the chat. You guys are liking it too. Gavin, the trailer that was released officially was the behind the scenes thing from a year ago. They made it public, which is Ewan McGregor talking about how great it's going to be to be Obi-Wan, and some concept art. There's no actual trailer with footage. There's some fan-made ones that are being released around, being labelled as the official ones, but they're not. But there's been no actual real trailer. Hoppy, welcome. You did make it. That's good to see. Your local loyalist. Not at the moment. If I need to find new voice actors, I will post something. But at the moment, every role is covered. Best place to keep an eye out is the community page of the channel. So if I need help with anything, I will post it there, so you guys can see and hopefully help me out with whatever the problem is. But at the moment, there's no auditions because every role is covered. Oh, in that case, I didn't see it. I didn't know. I just saw the fan-made ones, and they're being named as the official ones, but when you watch it, it's like, this isn't real. And there's that behind-the-scenes thing. Yeah, Hoppy, that's... So the Ewok village was actually meant to be the Wookiee village. In Return of the Jedi, before they came up with the idea of Ewoks, they were going to be Wookiees. But they kept the village design. Carried it over to the Ewoks. But in the book, it was kind of described like this. Everything is made of wood. And in some of the other sort of visual expanded universe stories, like some of the games, it was portrayed this way. I guess they kept the concept art and looked at that. So things like Knights of the Old Republic, where you get to go to Kashyyyk, they went for this kind of style. Okay, so we've solved the roof problems, where the roof joins the tree and didn't look right, in the places where it doesn't look so good. Now we've got this house over here, and we have a close-up shot of it. I feel like this could be better, so I was thinking maybe putting some plants or something hanging down, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. Maybe some vines. Actually, I do have some vines, because I used them. Actually, I'm going to see what I've done so far. Yeah, I used them in the Dagobah cave. I think what I did was used some vine textures. Let me have a look in my texture collection. Which you can't actually see me doing, so it's not going to be that interesting for you to see me look through my collection, because you can't see my collection. But it is there. If I can find it. Ah, vines, here we go. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to add some extra detail, which I think we need. So, yeah. You're right, tree houses are tree houses. You're right, I need to add some birds. I think birds might work better in the other shot, with the ship landing. That's the wrong one. Maybe this one. Floopy, I'm really glad that you like it. So what I've done, I call this an effect square. It's basically a flat square, and I use it. I'll then change the texture of it to be whatever the effect is that I need it to be. Sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's just a flat texture to add some extra detail, like what I'm about to do. So I'm going to position it. Let's go with there for now. I can move it around. So I'm going to drag a texture into iClone, and so the white square then becomes leaves. Now this may get changed. Actually, it's definitely going to get changed, but let's put it here for now. What was my first animation? So, I assume you've seen my fan film Imperials, which is on my channel. So my very first animation was that story, but 2D animated. You won't find it on YouTube, for good reason, and that good reason is it's terrible. So I'm never going to release that publicly anymore, because it has not aged well. The last time I watched it must be about 10 years ago, and it was terrible then, so I can only imagine how bad it looks now. But I really like the story, so that's why I came back to it. So I just put that vine there, and you can't see it at all. Okay, I'm glad you like Imperials, but I basically did a 2D animation of more or less the same story. And that was my first animated project. And I'm trying to think what else I could say about it. And kind of coming to a blank. But I didn't enjoy the 2D animation part of it. So then I discovered machinima, which was much easier and more fun to make stories using that kind of technique. And of course, with all the Star Wars games, it was very easy to start doing Star Wars stories because I could use Jedi Academy for anything with the characters. The space games, I used X-Wing Alliance for the space combat, space battles until Empire at War was released, and then I switched over to that because obviously that looks much better. It was so long ago, I do not remember the name of the software. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. Matthew, not long now. This scene is actually animated. I'm not going to play it back because I want you guys to see it finished with all the sound effects and everything. But I was watching through a render of it, and I thought this village needs a little bit more detail, and I decided that was what's going to be tonight's stream. And there's a couple of other things with the animation I'd like to fix as well before you guys see it, but it is more or less, the animation itself is more or less finished. It's just the little detail bits that need to be done, and then of course the sound editing. Spoiler alert, I haven't said anything about spoilers. I mean, I don't know if knowing that I've animated the scene really counts as spoilers. And we knew that the characters are coming to this planet from the fact that we heard them saying they were coming here. Oh, no, I'm not going to play the animation. And I've also muted the sounds, so if I do go through the scene just to see how things look, you still can't see anything or hear anything, because I want you guys to see it finished. Sometimes I'll let you guys, when I'm working on a scene, I'll have you show it, but this one I want you to see it finished, because that's the best way to watch it. But yeah, don't worry, I'm not gonna play anything. That's good. And you should know that from my previous chapters I'm sticking fairly closely to the book. But yeah, anyone that hasn't read the book won't know what's going to happen. But I suspect that's not many people watching this stream. Nope. I'll make it a bit smaller. Felipe, I'm afraid to say I still haven't got around to reading that part of the book, and I know I should. I'm terrible. And the weird thing was, I went to a bookshop the other day, and they had that Thrawn book on the shelf, and I thought I need to read that bit, and I was really tempted just to pick the copy off the shelf and read through it, but I wasn't sure if how the people in the shop, the staff, would feel if I did that. I'm just changing the texture to a different vine. There we go. But yeah, I did remember when I saw Thrawn on the shelf, it just reminded me I needed to look through it, and I thought I'll just do it when I get home, and of course I forgot to do it when I got home. I should hope so, because Knights of the Republic is part of the inspiration I used for this design, because I like the way they designed their village. Also, I got a Nintendo Switch, so I was very happy when Knights of the Republic was released on it a few days ago. Of course, I bought it. I haven't left Taris yet. Haven't had much time to play it. But it is nice to have it on that system. It means I can play it while I'm rendering, which will be quite nice. I think these leaves should be just a little bit darker, actually. Fortunately, I can do that. That looks better. I know you're allowed to look through a book in the shop, but I thought it might take me quite some time to find the particular chapter. And yeah. Also, because of COVID, I don't know how they would react to someone spending a lot of time touching something that they weren't going to buy. So I wouldn't be buying a second copy of the book. I've got my own copy on my shelf somewhere over there. Chapter 17, okay. That'll make it easier to spot it. Let's have a look at that. Yes, happy with that. Maybe need some vines around here. What other vines do I have? Oops. I didn't intend to edit that camera. Oh no, that was fine. Not to worry. It wasn't just a bookshop, it was, they sold books, but they also sell a lot of other stuff. And some places here are still, can be, the staff there can be a bit sensitive about people touching stuff that they're not going to buy because of COVID. Feels like this needs more something, but I don't think vines are the right. Maybe some crates. I've got some crates, so that could work. I don't want to put birds around this doorway. Because I'd have to animate them flying away when the building gets stormed. So I'm just going to put some static objects that don't require any animation there. And I do have some. Just going to find... I don't think this is what I had in mind. Actually, that's going to work. Just a bench. Of course, it placed it underneath the village. It needs to be bigger than that, obviously, because Wookiees are huge. That should work. Also, I've got the Viking village has got some props as well. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, it's just barrels. Let's go back to the Adventure Village props. Street Gamer, welcome. I'm going to put one of these barrels in, and I can put some high-tech barrels in as well, just to show the fact that Wookiees do use technology as well as more primitive looking objects. There will be no Wookiee children, because I don't want to have to model one. Basically, that is the reason. Alright, so I've got some... I'm very intrigued by the new features of iClone 8. I do think it's quite an expensive upgrade. So we'll have to see what I do about that. What did you think about it? Chewie can't be sized down. I did try it. It goes wrong very quickly. I've been playing around with the Omniverse plugin, and you'll see the results in one of the shots, possibly two. In this chapter 17, it's the space shots using Omniverse, which will require some getting used to, but when it looks good, when I get it right, it looks really good. But it's still that learning phase of getting it to look good. Geek Squadron, I will say that your super chats are going to go towards that. It's still going to take me a little while to save up. So I can tell you right now, the first shot is Luke's X-Wing, and then the next bit is the Lady Luck approaching Kashyyyk from space. That's the one I'm not sure at yet because I still need to tinker around with it, and I'm actually really happy with the iClone render for it. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use that one. But the shot of Luke X-Wing, that's definitely going to be in it because it looks really good. Yeah, so I looked very carefully at the pricing, and what it is because they're integrating 3D Exchange pipeline into the software itself. So previously, if you needed that, you'd have to buy it separately, which made sense. But because now they want to do away with 3D Exchange and just have it integrated into iClone, you're having to pay for it. So for people who don't need 3D Exchange, it's a huge increase in price. For people who do want those features, it's actually a decrease in price than having to buy it all separately. And I can't say I'm one of the ones who has needed. I've managed to get around not using pipeline. There have been a couple of times I thought this would be really nice to have the pipeline features. So I don't know. I mean, it could be that they do a basic version of iClone and Character Creator. They just haven't announced it yet. Would there be control panels? I don't think so. I feel like the Wookiee houses are fairly primitive in construction, so it probably does need a door, but I think it'd be more of a traditional, it just opens. And I feel like the Wookiees probably wouldn't have to worry too much about them stealing from each other. they do have modern technology in their houses. It's just you know what actually would be really good is some street lights. Not like the ones we have in the modern world, but just lights around the village. I think that would add something. Because you're right, there should be some more signs of technology than I'm showing here. I've not seen Holiday Special, and I prefer to keep it that way. I've heard the stories about what it is and what it's like, and I can't say I have any real desire to see it ever. Exactly, I don't want nightmares either. But yeah, I think it needs a door there. I'll have to model one. Geek Squadron, yes it would. So they showed so the other day that they showed a video that would covering all of the new features, and there's a lot of graphical enhancements like volumetric fog, which is volumetric lighting. So I'm trying to figure out a way to describe it. So let's see. Nope. So let's say we've got this forest here, and let's say this where this text is, the sun was shining from that direction. What you would normally see is like the beam of light coming through here between the trees. That would be a volumetric lighting effect, but since 7 doesn't do that, I can't put that in, although I'd like to. In fact, there is one way I could cheat it, to kind of simulate that effect. Which, you know what, maybe I should do that because it would add something to the scene. Yeah. There's things like motion blur, which doesn't really exist in iClone 7. I mean, there's a very basic motion blur effect, but it's pretty much useless. There's other features for animation and controlling characters, which would sound great and really helpful. And there's some other really useful features like being able to export easily to things like Unreal or Omniverse. Luckily they released the Omniverse plugin for iClone 7, so I've been tinkering around with that, which is one of the things I've been talking about. And then the character creator is also getting upgrades, so the characters have more they can do more with their faces, so that they look more alive. So yeah, it's a big upgrade. I'll just have to save up for it. I do have some thoughts on that, which I am not quite ready to share yet, but I will be doing so soon once I do a little bit more research. Yeah, not really sure what else to say about that. So Omniverse is, I should probably explain what it is. It's a better way of rendering using ray tracing Obviously, you need an RTX graphics card for that, which luckily I was able to get hold of one of those. But it means that light is simulated realistically. So the theory is it looks better than what iClone itself is able to render. Much like if you see something rendered in Unreal, it would look better than iClone. When the people making the stuff put a lot of work into it, you can't just make something in Unreal and it looks good. You actually have to make it look good. But yeah, I've been tinkering around with that for the last few days, this new plugin, because the plugin itself is free. And I'm liking the results when it works, but I still have a lot to learn about it, how the lighting works. There are things like the explosions and laser effects do not translate from iClone to Omniverse, so I'd have to figure out how to make those work or do something similar within Omniverse. But yeah, I've only had a few days to play with it, so I'm still figuring it all out. And I know there's tutorials online which I need to have a look at, and hopefully they will explain those kind of features that I still need to learn. So I think I'm going to stop the stream here because I'm getting tired. There's still a bit more detail to add to the village, but I'll do that in the next few days and hopefully have this chapter finished very soon. I mean, I've done all the animation for all of it. It's just the extra detail and tidying a few things up. So it's almost finished. It feels weird to be moving past the halfway point. The book still hasn't quite sunk in, but I think once this chapter's done, and as we get closer to things like chapter 20 and onwards, and the number of remaining chapters goes down, I think it's really going to sink in just how close to the end we're going to get. Geek Squadron, yeah, I do have support like you did with your super chat, and people are very kind and donate with coffee. That will all help. So I do appreciate all of it. Thank you. But yeah, I better save it, and then wish you all a good night. Just there we go. So yeah, thank you all for coming. See you all next week, and may the Thrawn be with you. And again, Geek Squadron, thank you so much for your super chat earlier. It did help. It means a lot, and it helps. So thank you. Take care, everyone. See you next week.